Everyone you know is going through this. It's all going to be okay. It's all going to work out. You'll end up in jobs that you never expected to be in. Take it all as a learning opportunity and as part of the journey. Hey everyone, welcome to Ask a Recruiter, the series where you can ask anything about careers, job searching, or the world of work. My name's Hillary, and I'm here to share honest, real-world advice. In this episode, we're diving into interview prep, the STAR method, and how to build confidence so you can stand out and be prepared going into your interviews. First, let's talk about preparation. Research definitely matters. You don't want to head into an interview and give the impression that you haven't spent any time thinking about the role, thinking about your fit for the role, why you're excited about the role, making sure that you have as much understanding as you can based on maybe what the job description shared or from a recruiter you spoke with. When it becomes overkill is when you fully script yourself, right? Not every single thing you've done or every experience you have is going to fit neatly into the box of this role you're interviewing for. It's okay to recognize and move forward with examples or stories that you know aren't maybe directly relevant to the work itself, but do still maybe show your skills overall or maybe show the kind of employee you are. Don't let the research totally steer your answers in a way that feels manufactured. Make sure that you have kind of the basics, make sure that you understand the role itself, and then go from there. Why do company values and mission matter for preparation? There's always going to be an underlying question from the interviewers of how does this person fit into the company as a whole, not just the role itself. So at Microsoft, when we're thinking about company values and mission, we're thinking about things like growth mindset. And then make sure you understand what you care about when it comes to the company. Why are you excited about working there? Now let's talk about the STAR method. The STAR method is a simple way to answer interview questions by telling a clear, structured story. It's an acronym and stands for situation, task, action, and result. It helps you show how you've handled real experiences instead of giving vague answers. The STAR method has been around since the 1980s when it was created to help employers better understand how candidates handle real situations. It gave interviewers a more consistent and fair way to evaluate people based on what they've actually done, not what they might do. Today, it's widely used across industries and is a go-to approach because it helps candidates share clear, real-world examples of their skills. Here's an example of a STAR method answer. Let's say your interviewer asked you to talk about a time when you worked with a group and you faced a challenge. That's a pretty general question, so you want to make sure that you are taking something that's a little bit broader and narrowing it down for your answer. So your answer might be S, situation. I was in an econ class and our teacher assigned us a 4-week project with 3 other people, and we had to present our final project at the end of the 4th week to the whole class. That's your situation. You're setting the where, the when, and the why. You're basically setting the scene. You're just kind of stating the facts of the situation. Your task is what you personally were responsible for. So your answer might be, I was designated as being responsible for organization for my group. I was responsible for making sure that we stayed on track, making sure that we had set timelines, and ensuring that everyone was doing their job. Your task, it's your personal responsibility. It's an I, not a we. Action. Maybe your action is that you set up a group tracker in a shared document. You ensured that everyone had calendar invites that corresponded with the deadlines you all set for yourselves. When a group member was falling behind, the action you took was checking in with them directly to understand how you could better support them, and then taking the information they provided you with and adjusting your organizational methods. Then finally, result. And this can also kind of go into reflection. Your result is not just the outcome of your action. So in this case, that outcome might be, we were able to complete the project, we presented at that 4-week deadline, and we got good feedback from our teacher. But then you also want to bring that into any lessons that you learned from that. So that's kind of the reflection, the second R. So you might say, I learned that it's incredibly important to be direct and clear with my teammates and to ensure that I am getting the full story from everyone around me and not making assumptions about why maybe someone is falling behind. That helps demonstrate to your interviewers that you take everything as a learning opportunity and that you recognize that there's always room to improve. So overall, here are the key points to remember when using the STAR method. The first is to plan out your STAR method answers. It shouldn't be ad-libbing. You should make sure that you understand the different components of STAR in your example before you start talking, because this will help you avoid rambling, which is really important. You don't want to go on and on and on and sharing every single little detail of the situation. Just share the information that your interviewers need to hear to understand the S, T, A, and R. Finally, I'm going to go over a few things that you should try to avoid with the STAR method. The first is focusing too much on we instead of I. A lot of your examples will probably involve other people, whether it's a group project like the example I gave or collaborating with a colleague. And while the we of it all might be important for the situation, the task, the action, and the results should really focus on you personally. You don't want your interviewers to come away only understanding what your full group did together. You want them to understand the role that you personally played. One of the common mistakes is that sometimes people feel like they have to tailor their answer to be totally relevant to the job they're applying to, which isn't the point. The point is not to give an answer that contributes to your fit for the role itself. The point is to give an answer that helps your interviewers understand the way you act, the way you think, the way you process, the way you share the example, and the actions you took. How do you know what number of examples you should have prepared? You can't 100% know. It's not ever a guarantee the types of questions or the number of questions an interviewer might ask. The advice I always give is to have 2 to 3 really solid examples that you have kind of mapped out to the STAR method prepared. And it's okay if you need to use the same example multiple times. That's actually a pretty common occurrence. As long as you're sharing a new take on it, you're adding new information, it's okay if you're repeating examples. Practicing out loud versus in your head. Up to you. You're obviously going to be speaking out loud, so if you think it'll make you feel less nervous to have heard your own voice before, that's great. Remember, if you're doing a virtual interview, you'll probably see your own face on the screen. So if that's gonna freak you out, practice in front of a mirror, as silly as it might feel. So now I want to talk about how you should utilize AI for prep versus during the interview. I think that you should use AI as much as it might help you as you're preparing. Maybe that means adding your resume into your favorite AI and asking it to help you find examples that you could use for the STAR method. There's so many ways you might use it. However, make sure that you are fully understanding what each company's policy is about AI use during the interview. Many interviewers will expect that your answers are your own and that you're not using AI during an actual interview. Other places might suggest that you use it. So make sure that you fully understand the expectations and don't assume that you can get away with using AI just because you're in a virtual interview. A couple of examples of how you might use AI for prep. Using that mission that a company shares and asking AI to help you translate that to your experiences based on your LinkedIn or your resume. You might also ask AI to look at the job description and give you some example questions that someone might ask that are relevant to the job description, just to get you used to the types of questions that an interviewer might be giving you. Don't use AI to script any answers for you. We want you to show up as yourself to your interviews, and we all know that your voice gets lost when you are reading off of something that AI wrote for you. So use it to develop bullet points, use it to help you talk through your preparation, but make sure that you're using your own voice in anything that you're sharing. In-person versus virtual, how does prep differ? The only real difference is going to be the way that you present yourself. When you're in person, someone is seeing you from head to toe. When you're virtual, obviously, you might only be in a waist-up situation, and truly that's the only thing that might differ. You want to make sure that you are presenting yourself as professionally as you can, so making sure you're paying attention to your full appearance in person versus virtual. Let me tell you how recruiters actually interpret nerves. Nerves are normal. Everyone gets nervous, no matter how confident they might normally feel. I think the most important thing is to remember that we're all human, and that the more nervous you get about your nerves, the more it's going to show. So just remember, it happens to everyone. Recruiters are not going to be judging you if you're nervous, as long as you're able to still communicate. So now let me tell you the good and the bad questions to ask. Good questions are going to both help you understand something new and also help your interviewers understand something about you. You shouldn't be asking questions just for the sake of asking questions. Ask about things like the work-life balance at a company, what your interviewer likes the most about working there, what some of the challenges they might see in the role. Don't ask questions like how much money the person is making or how much money you would make in the interview. Don't ask questions that AI tells you to ask just because you want to come up with questions. It's always pretty clear when people are asking questions just for the sake of asking them. So make sure you're really thinking through what you might want to know when you have that face-to-face opportunity with someone who works at the company. I want to leave you all with a couple of lessons that I personally have learned going through the process as a job seeker myself. It's really, really easy to feel discouraged as you go through a process where you feel like maybe you performed really well and then you don't get the result you want. It's a numbers game. There are so many wonderful applicants applying for every single job, and the fact of the matter is that not every single one is going to get it. And the more you interview, the more you apply, the more you interact with recruiters and interviewers, the more naturally you'll do it. And every single opportunity you have to interview or talk to a recruiter is a learning opportunity. Try to reflect on every interaction and understand maybe what you would have done differently or what you could do differently in the future. And then before you know it, it'll all come second nature. Thank you so much for tuning in. I know that if you're job searching right now, it's competitive. Use the time to explore your options, tighten your resume in LinkedIn, and keep showing up because the right opportunity will come. And if you've got a question, drop it for Ask a Recruiter. You've got this.